Hello everyone and welcome to a new series that we're starting here that we're going to call the Zero to Hero series, where we take a starter deck from the most current season and improve upon that every single week leading up until set championships, where we hope to try to win at least a promo card with that starter deck. Just so things don't get too crazy during this, we're going to set some boundaries or rules, starting with we're just gonna have a $40 budget. $50 for the first opening weekend just because we're getting started, and starting can sometimes be the most expensive part of it. We're not gonna be allowed to buy singles. We're allowed one trade every week, and at best we can trade up to 2 cards. In return, we can only receive 1 card back. Once a week we will attend an event at our local gaming shops, which is not going to be included in our budget, but it's going to also be just part of this event. Those packs that we receive or can win from there is going to also be included in all of this. One other rule is, with our starter decks, we must keep at least one of the same colors that we started with, no matter which iteration and direction that our deck goes towards. At the end of every week, I will also meet up with my rival, is what I'm going to call him, where we're going to battle it out in a best of 3s, and the winner every single week is going to get a small bonus for winning. And that's going to change from week to week, so look out to see what kind of creative things we can come up with from week to week. It should be a lot of fun. With that all being said, let's go pick up our starter decks.
Okay, so you guys are probably wondering how a small channel like this got a sponsorship. Let me show you really quick how we do that. Okay guys, so this is all you have to do.
Hey, what are you doing?
Okay, but all jokes aside, no, Cha's just probably one of like our best store owners here. But let's get into the starter decks and let's get this thing going, huh?
Okay guys, so I don't know why we forgot to record like the deciding of who gets which starter deck, but I promise you that it was done randomly because Christian really wanted this deck and I got it randomly. So that's how that happened. Let's get back to the video. Alright, just gonna speed it up here a little bit for you guys. So Christian did win the dice roll, so he did end up deciding to go first. And just a little bit of picking into my brains here for what my strategy was in this first series. I was kind of playing it like I would normally a limited match from set 4 or 5, which is what I was most used to, where we kind of pick some bigger statted bodies, play it a little bit slower, and just get the bodies out and challenge mid-game, find an advantage there, and win off of that. That's how we drafted our deck. And Christian did tell me ahead of time that my deck is supposedly the deck that he wanted. He thought that it would have been favored, especially earlier on, especially at the beginning like this here. So we'll see how that goes. Well, I know what happened, but we're going to see how this goes here. We're just shuffling up, getting our mulligans done. And then Christian's going to take the play here. Taking a while for me to shuffle there. I don't know. I guess I have that habit of just over shuffling, but everybody has their habits, right? So he's gonna ink the owl, play the Moana. This one needs a captain on board to be able to challenge, but otherwise it's just a hugely statted 3-2-1 drop. But it can quest. Without a captain, it can still quest. I'm gonna ink for turn and pass because, like I said, my strategy was just go for play for the mid game, and so I didn't draft too many 1-drops, which I had that option to do with the starter deck, but I just did not. And then I'm playing Sail the Azurite Seed, the new card everybody's hyped about. Draw a card, and I can ink another if I decide to. Christian is just going for board presence. He has another Moana out there, so he's just chugging along. Gonna ink another for turn and just pass there. Christian's gonna ink that Fix It Felix. Drop down another body. That's the Jasmine. Whenever she quests, I lose a lore. Good thing I have 0 lore at this point. But that Jasmine's questing for 2 now herself. And then we're finally going to get a, mid-range body out. That's the Dawson. He's a 4-drop, quest for 2, 3-4. So just a mid-range statted body, which was my plan all along. So we can start challenging the board a little bit. Inks the Jasmine. Thinks about it a little bit. Takes 3 to play Chippendale. Or is that just Chip? That's just Chip. Yep, the glare's kind of bad, but this Chip, it let his Jasmine quest for another lore on play, which is pretty good. He's just going for it. He's just sending it full send right now. So at this point, I'm like, oh man, I am in trouble. Ink the Baymax. Probably have another big body mid-range character that I'm looking to play. That's a Ludwig von... The glares just make it so hard to read. But it's another big statted 4-4 quest for 3, which, was one of my favorite cards back in set 5 limited, but I don't know about this set. It seems a little fast. Passing it back over to Christian. My Dawson did take his Jasmine, slowing him just a little bit. Plays the John Silver out. Which, whenever this character quests, he can ping a damage to that one of his own characters and ready it again. And it is a captain, so that Moana can start challenging now. So that's the synergy of the Ruby Amber starter deck. Ink of Fred. That was my 1-drop that, I'd want to play if I was on the play and going for slightly more aggressive. When I drop the Emerald Chromacon here, looks like my hand is just items and actions, which I did play the new action from Emerald. Came back where I can ready one of my own characters and there's no stipulations. It's basically just fully ready again. It can quest again, it can challenge again, It's a very, very good card from this new set that I think we're going to see a lot of. I'm going to slap down the Nani, just keep going. I did manage to pull another body, so that was a little bit lucky there, and just dropped another Microbot, which I thought was going to be better here. You know, I was expecting to do some mid-range trades a little bit more, where I could ping somebody for one and banish that guy to banish a big threat on board, but Christian, his plan was to just go all send, and that's what he's doing. He's sending it. And I draw the Oswald here. I don't think that's a very good top deck right now. Oh man, so I got the Oswald out. Microbots on the board. Gonna take out the John Silver. Honey's still threatening, but she is a pretty big statted body. And now Christian, no hand now, fully developed his big bodyguard Jim Hawkins there. He's gonna decide to look for what Jim Hawkins does is it lets him search the top 4 for a pirate, and every single pirate he can bring into hand. So that's really awesome synergy there. And I'm just gonna call it there because I really have nothing. All these items aren't doing anything right now. So that was game 1. We're gonna shuffle up and get to game 2 here. Alright, so here's the start of game 2. I will be on the play this time. So fortunately we have that benefit. Going first is such a big advantage in Lorcana, and it has been since the beginning. I did manage to pull my Oswald early in the game, so unfortunately we don't have any early drops again, but we are mulling, so let's see what we can pull into. We didn't have that many, as you can see from our deck list here. So once again, we got the mindset. We're going to play for the mid game just a little bit. Get some threats out there, challenge the board, gain board control, and win through those means. We saw a lot of early drops from Christian's side. So I got both of my stitches there. No 1-drop, so I'm just going to ink that stitch and pass. There he goes. Chugging along. Got a 1-drop out. He's doing the thing. And now I got... In my head, I think I'm just going to play out this Oswald here. Because that's what you do with Oswald. You play him, and every time you ink, you're going to search your deck for an item. There's Christian on curve. Playing out the Wendy, darling. So I drew an item off the top. I'm going to ink that item. The next card is not an item. So for 3, let's drop down a body. And that is a Basil with... It's a 3/2 evasive questing for 1. Especially in limited. Evasive's usually a pretty good character trait to have, so that's why we loaded our decks with this many evasives, which for the starter decks, Basil's really it for evasives. Christian's just gonna keep sending it. He's chugging along on his plan, and that owl is a very good card too. Acts kind of like Oswald. Every time you ink, there's an effect. I did get an item here after I inked. Baymax chip there. Every turn I can heal one of my characters for 1. If I do have a robot, I can heal that a character for 3 every turn. And now I'm just thinking, what kind of things can I do to catch up here? You know, Christian's on curve, just board presence. wouldn't be trading with that Windy Darling. Windy Darling having the extra damage. Christian's gonna ink that Jasmine because he sees, once again, I'm not questing. He's gonna play that chip again, so he can, which is gonna allow one of his characters to quest for one more this turn. So he's gonna decide to keep his 1-drop up. And the owl effect did hit Dawson, so Dawson's not gonna be able to take out the owl on his own, since he did ink, and the effect of the -1 attack from owl lasts until it comes back to Christian's turn. And at this point, Oswald's just really not doing much. Nope. That Ludwig would have been a very good top deck, but instead we decided to chance it, and it did not work in our favor. Yo, we tried to play an item deck because we pulled out Oswald, so why would you not play an item deck? And here I'm just thinking, challenge, or do I go in? And I do decide to finally get some lore, so took to game 2, but we are on the board, guys. Pass it back over to Christian. Just hoping to just threaten the board just a little bit and kind of make him come in so my Emerald Chromacon can do stuff. But at this point, we'll see if Christian decides if he wants to just race it out or, you know, do some fun stuff. He's gonna ink the Fix a Felix. -1 attack until the next turn. My Oswald there. And now he's thinking how he wants to do these trades. He's going to quest with the chip first, because we probably want to bounce, using the Chromacon here, his chip, because it's the most lore threatening. We do choose to bounce the chip. Now he's going to play the Jasmine. And now that I finally have lore on the board, that Jasmine's going to be able to lower my lore by 1 every time she quests. He hits for 2 every turn. So top deck the Fred there. Again, our 1-drop. Later into the game. Not the best top deck. But we are holding the You Came Back card in hand, which lets us ready one of our characters again. So I decide I'm going to quest with the Oswald, just pressure it a little bit. We're going to ready him up with a You Came Back. Keep pressuring. Or do we stand Oswald to, keep him safe? Oh boy, that glare is very bad. We'll have to work on that for our next match. So I do decide I'm just going to keep pressuring the board. Pass it back on over to Christian. And Christian's like, I'm not even worried about your board. I'm just gonna keep racing you, and now I have Jasmine, who's gonna lower your ink or your lore every time she quests. So he believes he can win this race, and he's gonna play the Kakamora with Rush. Which makes it a good trade, because since he inked, Owl reduced Oswald's attack by 1, making him a 1/1. Kakamora only taking 1 damage from there. Very good trade. Top deck the Wasabi. This is another evasive answer, and also he can kind of cheat out some lore. When you play him, he can destroy an item, and whoever's item that is gets an extra lore. And that Baymax just wasn't really doing much for me, so took the lore, exert the microbot, discard it to destroy the Kakamora, which has damage on him. Fred's gonna go to 9, just gonna keep trying to go and put pressure on Christian to see if, you know, he'll trade in so my Chromacon can start bouncing stuff back. Christian's thinking here. He's like, do I care about Fred? Or do I just want to keep racing? And he is just gonna keep racing. He's gonna drop that Jasmine back down. He's gonna ink minus the 1 attack on Wasabi, so he can't trade with the owl. And it's not looking good for us here, guys. I'm really thinking, trying to find my outs. There's Basil, another evasive. And that is the GG's, and Christian did unfortunately take this series. Unfortunately, as you saw, we did not win this week's battle with our rivals, so we did not win the weekly prize. To see what this week's prize was, check out Christian's video linked down below. So we do have some changes that we have to make for next week so this doesn't happen again. I have some things in mind, but I'm sure our rival is scheming as we speak right now. Comment down below how you would spend the budget in our situation. But I hope to see you all in next week's video where we go over how we did spend our $50 budget and see how the changes affect next week. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to be the first to know when our videos go out. Goodbye for now.